Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore Positive. We are positively taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour on the road. We will be at Fadley's in Lexington Market next Friday, the 13th. Promise to have a lucky shrimp salad sandwich and some oysters as well, some fried oysters and a crab cake. Back to the Future Scratch, also the Maryland Lottery available. Our friends at Liberty Pure Solutions, as well as Curio Wellness, sending us out on the road. They're putting Luke out on the road as well. He was in Owings Mills this week. The Orioles are in Sacramento and then heading home next week as well. The Ravens have been practicing, OTAing kind of quietly, and then this Bateman signing happens. If you're on our WNST tech service, Baltimore Positive, you got that courtesy of our friends at Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. Luke joins us now to discuss whatever this time of the year is, right? I mean, install players, learning positions, learning things. You're out there trying to learn stuff. I guess what we did learn is they're investing in Rashad Bateman, and Zay Flowers might not be getting an extension, huh?
Well, I think we're a long way from determining the second part of that, but it is interesting for all the players that we've talked about as contract extension candidates. I mean, we've talked a lot about Isaiah Likely and the dynamic of Mark Andrews and what his future is, but we've talked about Lamar, knowing Lamar's cap number goes up to 75 million next year. You're obviously going to have to do something there, and you want to do something. You want to keep Lamar under contract as long as you can. But we've talked about Kyle Hamilton. We've talked about Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think too many people were mentioning Rashad Bateman, mainly because he had signed that extension last year. Remember, there were some odd circumstances. He had a blunder with his agent or him or both, but he didn't report at the start of training camp a couple years ago when he was still injured. He didn't report at the early time when injured players are supposed to report. Now, it was only a day. It wasn't like some kind of falling out or anything like that, but that resulted in him losing an accrued season. That resulted in his march toward free agency being delayed. So last year, in an effort to throw him a bone, a proverbial bone, so to speak, but also because the Ravens had all the leverage, they signed him to a 3-year extension. It was only for about $15 million total. Like I said, a lot of it stemmed from, whether you call it clerical or something, whatever, however you want to explain that. He clearly was not making a lot of money. He has a breakout season last year where he has 756 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. Legitimate, rock solid number 2 wide receiver production, but he was under contract the next couple years. The Ravens owed him only little over $10 million for this year and next year combined. But, Bateman was asked about this after Thursday's OTA. I don't know if there was a handshake agreement where Eric DeCosta said, look, go out there and play your butt off, do everything we think you're capable of doing, and then we'll get back to the table. But they did, and they signed him to an additional 3-year extension worth $36.75 million that now has him under contract through 2029. Now, I'll say this much. He's now under contract for 5 years. He's owed roughly, $47 million. You're still talking about someone that's still quite affordable for number 2 wide receiver money. And I think what's interesting to think about here, and this is what you were alluding to with Zay Flowers, let's be clear. Zay Flowers is better than Rashad Bateman. He's been more productive his first 2 years in the league. He's their number 1 wide receiver. However, if you haven't been paying attention to the wide receiver market, we are now at a point here in 2025 with salaries only going up, where you have, I believe it's 8 receivers now in the National Football League have eclipsed the $30 million mark for average annual value. Zay Flowers is eligible for a contract extension beginning next offseason. Obviously, you're going to have a 5th-year option. They're in no rush. This isn't something that's going to come to a head anytime soon, most likely. But the question becomes, how much will it cost to extend Zay Flowers? And should you do that? I mean, I'll remind everyone, the Kansas City Chiefs, they sold off Tyreek Hill, right? They don't have a $30 million receiver.
The Baltimore
right
Ravens sold off Hollywood Brown, similar player, right?
Yeah, Hollywood Brown's never Tyreek Hill, though.
But you can draft that player to some
You
degree.
can. You
Yes.
can. The Ravens, until recent history, had never shown an ability to effectively do that. So I think what this does with Rashad Bateman, and let me be clear, this is not Luke Jones with a hot take saying that Rashad Bateman's going to be a Raven long term and Zay Flowers has no shot. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I think what this does do is give you a little more flexibility from the standpoint of hypothetically, and look, if Rashad Bateman has another big year, he's probably going to think he's underpaid again. And there might be you might have trouble over the next year or two with that. So this is all in a vacuum. You don't know what's going to happen. But on paper, you now have Rashad Bateman under contract through 2029 at $9.5 million a year. If he at a minimum does what he did last year, or even takes the next step, and that I don't know what that is. I mean, there's only one football, right? So you've added Hopkins, you still have Derrick Henry, you're still going to run the ball, Lamar's still going to run the ball. So I don't know if the production's going to necessarily spike anymore, but I think it does give you a little bit of a safety net to have some contingency plans here. One, Bateman could become a trade asset if he has that kind of a contract that's very, very affordable. And you might get to a point where you say, well, we have to extend Zay. Zay's become perennial 1,000-yard wide receiver, 1,100, 1,200. Who knows what happens the next couple of years? But you could decide that. And then you'd say, okay, we can't pay Zay what he's going to command and keep Rashad Bateman at $9.5 million a year. So you could trade him. Or if you decide we love Zay Flowers, but we don't love Zay Flowers at approaching $30 million a year, which is what the market could dictate his price being, especially with the cap only going up the next couple of years. So you might say, you know what? We love Zay Flowers, but we don't love him so much to pay him $30 million when Lamar Jackson at that point could be making $65 million a year, whatever his next contract is. Kyle Hamilton's making $25 million a year. Tyler Linderbaum's making $18 million a year. Go down the list of all the guys that are making money. By then Nate Wiggins might be someone that you're paying $20+ million a year, right? I mean, again, when you're a general manager, yes, you're thinking about 2025, but you're trying to at least have a skeleton of a plan for what your next 5 years is going to look like. So I think that the idea that you have Bateman under contract now for the next 4 or 5 years at an affordable rate, and again, assuming he's not going to want more money, which is a big assumption right now at some point in time, it does give you some outs in terms of if Zay Flowers becomes someone that you think is just going to be way too expensive to keep. If you do have Bateman under contract, you can trade Zay, draft a receiver in the first round, and kind of do what Kansas City's done the last couple of years, right?
Retool.
They traded Tyreek Hill, and then say what you want about him off the field, but Rashee Rice has been productive. They just drafted Xavier Worthy this past year. They added Hollywood Brown as another complementary piece, and they've made it work that way. Now, their offense hasn't been as explosive as it was under Tyreek Hill, but they've still gone to Super Bowls, right? So there's more than one way to do this. So I just think it's, to me, did they have to do this? No, they could have said, Rashad, you're under contract the next couple of years. But him making only a total of $10 million over the next couple of years probably wasn't going to be happy with that. And if you do this, it's still an affordable contract. It's not breaking the bank or ruining your cap. You've kept him happier. You've made him a little more whole in terms of the fact that he had a good year. I mean, he caught 9 touchdowns last year. He was a really productive wide receiver for them last year. He's a big reason why their passing game took a step forward. I mean,
well, they recognize that.
Give him credit, right? I mean, and they've been very bullish on him. I mean, Eric DeCosta going back 2 or 3 off seasons ago when everyone was, guys like us were even saying, Rashad Bateman, can't count on him, can't stay healthy, hasn't been productive.
Comparing him to Perryman, right?
Yeah, DeCosta's been very bullish about his potential. And last year he finally showed that. So they say, you know what? We're going to make you a little more whole. We've also added 3 years on to our contractual control, so that helps us. $9.5 million in terms of AAV is reasonable for a good number 2 wide receiver. And we also know that the price is only going to go up. I mean, when you look at how much the Bengals paid not only Jamar Chase, but also T. Higgins, you look at that and say, man, T. Higgins, who, let's face it, would be a number one wide receiver for 26 other teams in the NFL, but he's a number two for the Bengals. But you look at those prices and you say, what is Zay Flowers going to be worth in a couple years? And can you afford to pay that? Do you want to pay that? So I just think this gives them a little more flexibility in the sense that they either have Bateman under contract and you can go draft a wide receiver and you trade Zay, or you trade Bateman and you keep Zay and you extend Zay. So I think it just gives you a little more flexibility. It keeps the player happier. This is a much more representative contract for what Rashad Bateman is. And look, I know some people are listening right now and saying, Luke, what are you talking about? I mean, this guy doesn't even have 1,000-yard season under his belt, as far as an NFL career goes. Guys, go look at what the market is for wide receivers on a yearly basis. I mean, 3 years, $36.75 million contract. That's good number two wide receiver money at this point in time. I mean, that number one, you're not getting a number one receiver for that. So I just think it was interesting because they made him a little more whole. And I think this was a way that the Ravens, maybe this is a way that they can hedge their bets a little bit, not knowing exactly what that cost for Zay Flowers is going to be. I mean, Zay Flowers might be a $30 million wide receiver per year on the open market. Are the Ravens, from a salary cap standpoint, from a roster construction standpoint, from a standpoint of you have Lamar Jackson, do you need to have a $30 million wide receiver? Or at that point in time, let's say you've extended Isaiah Likely, he's your number one.
Well, they're not going to have a $12 million running back then either, right?
Sure,
I mean, by
right.
then, Derrick Henry's got a year, maybe two left, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
So, and again, that's why I'm saying this isn't me at all saying that this means they're not going to extend Zay Flowers. I just think it gives you more options. You now have an effective wide receiver who's cost controlled for at least the next 3 or 4 years, let's say. Again, Bateman could go back to the table in a year and a half and say, I want more money. And if he produces at a level that you think he's capable of, he probably will be right in deserving more money. But I just think it gives you a little more. You don't want to be in a position where both those guys are becoming free agents at the same time, right? I mean, I think we all would agree on that. So now you're in a position where Bateman's under contract. You've appeased him, at least for the time being. And now you're going to see. I mean, if Zay Flowers hits another level this year and he's a 1,200-yard receiver and he catches 10 touchdowns, he's going to be a $30+ million wide receiver. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but you do have to consider everything else about your roster. And Kansas City said, look, we love Tyreek Hill. I mean, we won a lot of football games with Tyreek Hill, but we got to the point where we said, well, we have a lot of other roster needs. Our quarterback's making a lot of money. You know what? We're Travis Kelce. We still have him. Let's trade him to the Dolphins. And they did that. And guess what? Everyone thought at the time it was going to mean the downfall of the Chiefs. No, they've won Super Bowls since then, and they've been back, and they're still the class of the NFL. So, I just think it's an interesting dynamic when you just think about the long term, and there's so much unknown. I mean, Rashad Bateman could get hurt again this year, and maybe we might be talking about them cutting him in 2 years. Who knows? I mean, it's just a lot of unknown. But I just thought it was an interesting move, just because we weren't really expecting that. But again, I think it was a nod to him after a good season that he had. And I do think it's an interesting play when you start to think about the long-term possibilities of what's going to happen with Zay Flowers.
He is Luke Jones. He has been out in Owings Mills this week. We're watching Oriole baseball late night and them digging out of their huge hole. But meanwhile, the Ravens don't play for 3 months. We're 3 months out. September 7th, Buffalo is when this thing will happen. All right, you've been out there. What's going on the practice field? Is Harbaugh having you keep copious notes as to which one of his millionaires are or are not practicing this week?
I mean, obviously we're taking attendance. I mean, it's voluntary. I mean, attendance this week wasn't as good as last week. It tends to be that way. I mean, it's still been good overall. I mean, Lamar hasn't been there this week. Lamar wasn't there for OTAs last year, and he had the best season of his career. I mean, would you like to have him there? Sure. Do I think it's a big deal? Do I think that's the reason why this team's coming up short in January? No, not even a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and lie and be disingenuous, but no Lamar, no Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton being out of the picture for some of these OTAs actually could be a silver lining of you're trying to find out about Malachi Starks in terms of not that you don't love him as a player, but do you love him enough that you're going to put so much on his plate week 1 of his rookie season, week 2, week 3, week 4, because we know Ardarius Washington, best case scenario, is back in December, maybe. That's not even a guarantee. So you're going to have to figure out safety. So right now, you're looking at Bo Braid, Jalen Armour Davis. They're actually working him out at safety some right now. And I'm not saying any of these guys are going to be the guy as a number 3 safety. I still think they're going to add a veteran safety at some point in time. But in the meantime, you're evaluating. And I think really they're trying to throw a lot at Malachi Starks right now and really see how he handles that. I mean, Chuck Pagano spoke on Thursday. It was great to talk to Chuck. I mean, it's amazing. It's one of those deals where I kind of looked around and I thought, man, of all the Ravens reporters that were on the beat in 2011, which is the last time Chuck Pagano was part of the Ravens coaching staff, there are only a few of us left. Right? I mean, a lot of the people that were standing around the podium
Give
on
Chuck my
Thursday.
best. Tell him I said
I
hello.
will. I will. You could tell. I mean, Chuck. You got to know him better than I did, even after his battle with leukemia and Jen and all of that. But you could just tell he's really excited to be back at it. I mean, he said that he never gave up thinking about the possibility of coaching again, and he said, obviously, Baltimore being a spot that he was familiar and had affinity for the organization, obviously has a relationship with John Harbaugh. I think it helps that getting to work with Kyle Hamilton. I mean, not Ed Reed like his first go round with the Ravens, but still pretty special talent there. I think he's excited about that. But you could just tell. I mean, he's excited to be back. I mean, he said, "Look, I don't have any designs on, being a coordinator again or being a head coach again. I just this is fun, and he likes working with Zach Orr. But right now, I mean, it's a big challenge right now for them to kind of sort through what they thought their safety position was going to be with Hamilton, Ardarius Washington, and then working Malachi Starks in. And now you subtract Washington, and it's how much can Malachi Starks handle right away? I think it's going to be fine, but do you need to bring in a veteran safety and even throw a little bit of money their way to have that other guy, and then you can slow play Starks a little bit more? Or does this kid look like he can handle it and he's ready to go and he hits the ground running, and you can go with one of these other guys as your third safety? I mean, so I think that's one of the things that I'm monitoring right now. I mean, you know me, man. This time of year, when you've been at it this long, not to be fooled by too much when guys are playing in shorts in late May and early June. That's just the reality. But certainly looking at
We talking
safety.
practice, man. It's
Yeah,
practice.
yeah. Well, practice without even pads, right? I mean, it's so
June
funny.
practice.
I've given this advice to a couple reporters that when they first come on the beat. I'm just like, don't be fooled by what you see in the spring. And I say that not because I'm a know-it-all. It's because I could go back and show you things I wrote 15 years ago about guys that look good during OTAs, and then you kind of realize, oh, that he's not really that good, and I was really wrong about that. So you just take it for what it is. I mean, they're basically practicing how to practice right now. I mean, that's kind of sort of what it is right now. But safety. I'm certainly looking at the offensive line. I mean, I think we all expect Andrew Voorhees to be the left guard, but that's not to say that Ben Cleveland's not going to still get some reps. It's not to say that Emory Jones, their third round pick, who right now is recovering from a shoulder issue, but sounds like he's going to be ready for camp. He's going to get a look. I mean, I don't think Voorhees is just going to be handed the job, but you're looking at that. You're looking, with Lamar not being there, you're looking at how Cooper Rush looks. I mean, the Ravens wasn't lucrative, but
What's the situation with Lamar? What's that?
He's just not. I mean, he's not there for all of OTAs. I mean, it's just
That's embarrassing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. You're lead. I don't know. This is me being old world, new world, though, right? I'm just being a dick, right? I mean, right? I mean, yeah, right? Yeah. I don't know. I pay you $50 million. I'd expect you to show up.
I don't think it's being a D. But at the same time,
do you care? How much do you care?
Well,
we paid you $50 million. You're the leader. We got the team here. You haven't been here 4 months.
I think his play suggests he cares when it actually matters. I mean, we've talked about this the last couple off seasons.
$50 million a year.
Does it matter? But does it matter?
It does to the coaches. It does to the team. It does
It
to.
does to the coaches, but does it really? But does it actually matter to their results?
It should matter to him. That
Fair enough.
it should matter to
Fair
him.
enough. Here's the only thing I will
Telling
say.
fans to perform fellatio on you as well on Twitter is also like so. I don't know when it comes to Lamar. He's great at football. I haven't figured out the rest of it. You know what I mean? This it's just not. It's not a good look. It's not a good decision. It's not in the best interest of the team. It's not in the best interest
He
of
had the best
Lamar.
season of his career
It's not
last
in
year,
his
and
best interest
he
to not
skipped,
be there.
but he also skipped OTAs last year, and he had the
That's
best
fine.
season of his career.
That's fine.
I'm just saying, man. Does it really matter? Like, does it really actually matter?
That's like saying I drank a lot on Sunday and did the best radio of my career on Monday. It didn't matter. Well, but like it does matter. Everything matters. I run a place, so it matters. I
Okay.
mean,
I mean,
and I'm a grown
I
up,
just
so
don't think.
and
Well,
they put a
I
lot
don't
of
think we have to
effort.
put it in
They
those
put a
terms. I
lot of
mean,
effort into OTAs, into what they're doing out there. They're all from the top down, from Harbaugh down. We're all serious. We're all in. We're all in. Hey, where's Lamar? Come on, man. I mean, it's just it's freaking weak, and
okay.
it's not the language
I just
I
don't
think
think
it's
it
weak.
matters. I just don't think it
Well, if it
matters.
doesn't matter, then don't have OTAs at all.
Well, do they really need to have OTAs?
Yes.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah. More football's better for them.
Okay.
More walk arounds better. Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it mattered when Lamar had a historic season last year. I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is something honestly, I I agree with you more than I'm
If Lamar
sounding right
played the
now.
way that he did and flew on a separate plane and stay like that would be okay. I mean, no, at some point we're a team. You know what I mean? And Harbaugh preaches that shit until it's his quarterback, and then it's okay. We won a
Okay,
lot last year, didn't we? Then he'll take your line. Like
but you know
it's
what?
just sort of like you're either all in or you're not all in. And if it's your leader, the fact that he's not there is shameful. I mean, it's shameful,
But you
and
know what?
it's regrettable, and it's unfortunate,
I
and
don't think
it's
it's
not what
shameful.
they signed up for.
I think
They didn't
that's
give him
over the top.
$50 million a year and say you're going to skip OTAs. I'm sure when they said to him, "Here's the 50 million, you're going to come to practice, right?"
You know what he would say is, no, you gave me $50 million because I play great football in the fall when it actually
Okay.
matters.
Well, then that makes him
I would
whatever
also
he is.
but I would also say Ray Lewis didn't go to OTAs. Ed Reed didn't go to
And I said it was
OTAs.
wrong then.
I know, but did it actually matter? I mean, they're Hall of like you can say that, but who are you? Who am I, right? Those guys are Hall of Fame players. Like those
But
guys are
you don't make special rules for them in regard to what everybody else
there's
is
always
doing.
special rules for the best players. You know that. I mean, it's no different than it's the same thing when players get in trouble. I mean, if Ray Lewis,
I would just say this, Luke. I'm married, right? So if anything in my marriage, I said that's the 10%. I'm not gonna worry about that. It's not a good partnership part. You know what I
fair
mean?
enough,
Even in the framework of our partnership and what we do,
fair
when you're
enough.
in a deal and you're a part of the team, the thing, the
Well,
entity,
then the owner
you
should make
should
it
want to
mandatory.
be there. You should want to be there and want to participate and want to be the leader and want to be the guy and says,
Yeah,
I'm not special. I'm not different. I'm just like you. I'm here practicing and sweating when you are because I care as much as you do. That's all. That's
fair
simple.
enough.
Simple. That's grown up shit. I mean, literally. Like that's
I
just
mean, I don't
it's
think we
the
need to put
right
it in
thing
those.
to do. It's the right thing to do to be there. It is.
I just think
And I'll never for your employer, it's the right thing to do. And and anything else to me is eyewash, as you like to say. You know, it's an excuse.
I think OTAs are eyewash. as I get as I do this longer and longer, look, are OTAs valuable for 90% of the roster? 75% of the roster? Absolutely. Do I think veteran players get much out of it? No, I don't. I don't. I think veteran players get to a point in their career where they know how to get ready. Ray Lewis wasn't OTAs,
But you're a
but
part of the team. That's all. And you're a leader on the team. Be a leader. That's all. That's just me being. That's
I
I
know.
almost sound conservative.
I know.
Like I almost sound like an old man. But like you're making $50 million a year. This isn't the hobby. I mean, come on. I mean, we don't ask much. We really don't ask much.
Yeah.
We don't ask much. We ask what we ask,
Yeah.
and we're asking nicely. You know,
Yeah.
my wife doesn't have to do anything for me. She's my wife. She's still my wife today, tomorrow. But like if you ask nicely, you would hope that there would be
Yeah.
compliance if you're getting paid $50 million and you're an employee. And
Yeah.
and that's just that's
I hear you.
uh,
I just don't think it matters that much. I mean, I
okay.
don't.
Well, if they
I
tell
don't.
Lamar it doesn't, then it doesn't. If they say Lamar, skip it, don't worry about it. I've done that too. I've done that with you. Hey,
Sure.
skip it tomorrow. I mean, let's not worry.
Yeah,
Like if that's what it is, then that's what it is. But if everybody else is out there sweating, doing their thing, and you need to be
I
there
hear
3 days
you.
this week, come on, man.
Look, and let
Come
me
on.
be clear. I'm not. This isn't me championing him staying away, like rooting it on. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. But because he wasn't there last year, and he was better than ever. I mean,
Okay.
he's clearly putting in the work because he shows he's ready when it actually matters, right? I mean, it would be one thing if he came into training camp out of shape or was playing poorly, whatever it is. So he's putting in the work. The only thing
I'm
I
going to
will
do
say,
to you what you did to me an hour ago. Don't carry water for excuse makers and guys making $50 million not showing up for practice. I mean,
excuse
like,
maker, he was the best quarterback in the league last year. He should have won MVP. I mean, I'm just saying.
yes,
So my point is,
he should be at
what?
practice this week. It doesn't.
Okay.
What you did last year doesn't. Everybody else is practicing, so
Well,
that's all.
I would say it's voluntary.
Okay,
The owners
that's what he would
need
say.
the owners need to make it mandatory. And I would also say veteran players have skipped OTAs for a long time. Lamar's just bucking the trend of quarterbacks, right? I mean,
Because
you
he's
know,
different and special. Yeah.
he is special. The numbers suggest that.
Wake me when the parade happens. That's all I'm
I
saying.
hear you.
Luke is
I'm
here.
I
We're gonna
just,
argue.
I just think it. Let me be clear, and I'm being a
Over the top.
little facetious with you right now. Just don't think it matters that much, man. Stuff doesn't matter right now. It doesn't. I mean,
You know who it mattered to? It mattered to Chad Steele when he took my press pass away. He said,
it does,
you
but
didn't come to OTAs. Your quarterback didn't come to OTAs, dude. You know what I mean? So it is. They
I
don't
just
get together much. There's 3 weeks of this, and it's in June, in May and June, and they don't
right.
have to come back for like, and they're getting compensated, and they're a part
I
of the
just
team, and
right.
it's
I hear you, and when
of much
and
whom's given, much is expected. Come on.
I hear you. I just don't think it matters that much. I
Okay.
really don't.
Well, okay.
I just don't. I I think OTAs could disappear, and you just did it for like players that are in their first couple years in the league, and I think there would be no discernible difference come training camp and certainly by the
Do you
season.
feel like the mandatory week is important?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, man, and he'll be look, if he's not there for mandatory minicamp, then yeah, that's a way different conversation. I just I I, I saw it last year. He was barely at OTAs and he was better than ever. So like what I'm not saying, and when I say it doesn't matter, obviously it matters in the sense that everyone has to go through the process of getting ready for a season. We all understand that. You're not talking about some like if Lamar were literally just lying on the beach for the next 2 months before, or month, 7 weeks before training camp starts and he showed up out of shape, then yeah, that's a totally different dynamic. He was there last week and he looked great. I can tell you the quarterback play this week without him on the field has not been very good. I just it's something that I don't think it matters all that much. Would you like him there? Yes. And I'm not dismissing everything you're saying. Let me be clear. And sure, you'd love to have him there. But do I think when they fully crank it up, when they're actually playing in September and October and November and December and January, do I think anything that happens for these couple weeks in OTAs really has a tangible consequence to what happens then? I just don't. I think it's more just part of the process. Would you like him there? Sure. Do I think it has any meaningful difference on how he or the team's going to play? No, I don't.
I like my leaders to lead. That just makes
I
me a
know.
35-year radio guy.
I know. And
I
look,
like.
I generally I agree, but I can't sit here because I thought it was a bad look last spring. I did. And he had an unreal season then. So there are exceptions to the rule in the same way that Lawrence Taylor. I mean, Parcells and Belichick talked about the fact that, LT would miss meetings, show up, and he'd be sleeping in the back of the room. And then they call him up to the board. And even though he hadn't heard any of the plans, he'd write out exactly what they did and then he'd go back to sleep. Right. I mean, there are certain individuals who just completely break the mold. And it's like you don't understand and you can't comprehend it. But That's who they are. Lamar's one of those
If you
guys.
would have asked Bill Parcells if Lawrence Taylor, if they would have won more championships if Lawrence Taylor showed up sober and would have been that player, he probably would have said, yeah. Like, and
Lamar
showed up and be there and
LT
do all
was
that,
that player. LT was that player. What are you talking about? He's the greatest defensive player in the history of the league, in my
How much
opinion.
better would he have been if he were sober? I don't know. Maybe not as good. Maybe
I
that is a
don't
better debate.
I don't say not as good, but I
It's like saying David Wells wouldn't have thrown the perfect game if he hadn't been drinking all
I
night,
mean,
right?
I just think there's certain individuals who just completely, like I said, there are different rules for certain individuals. I mean, there just are. I'm not just if you're John Harbaugh, would you rather fight Lamar about OTAs or about other stuff that you want to do over the course of a full season? I don't know. Like I just think it's one of those things you pick your battles, so to speak, in the same way that Brian Billick wasn't going to rock the boat too much when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed weren't there in the spring, even though he would have liked to have them there, right? I mean, so you know, again, I don't want this to sound like I'm completely on the far end of the spectrum opposite of you, but as I get older and as I just see what Lamar does, I don't know how much it matters. I think he's bored this time of year. If you want my honest opinion, I think he's bored to tears being at OTAs because it, it's something that's remedial for a lot of other players, and he's at a point where he's bored doing that. I don't know that he's never told me that. Let me be clear.
Well, fine. You're making $50 million a year. Come be bored with your teammates.
Okay.
Come play canasta.
Okay.
Come take them out to dinner. You have enough money. Go take your teammates out to dinner on a Wednesday.
I will
night,
say
get to know
this,
them.
and this is where I will push back, even though I'm certainly sounding like an apologist here. I just don't think it matters that much. But I will laugh. I do kind of laugh at the notion that Zay Flowers did make a comment about Lamar wanting to have more meetings, more camaraderie with some of the offensive skill players. Which to me, it's like, dude, you're not at OTAs. Like, that's not really that's a complete contradiction then. I mean, if you want to do more of that stuff, then you need to be there. So
fair enough. OTAs are here. Luke is there. I'm not because they don't let me, but I wouldn't go anyway because it's not that important. Tell Chad that it's not that important. I'll text John over the next time he sends me a text about Lamar not being there and say, not that important. I mean, he played well last year. He should have been the MVP. Tell him that. I am Nestor. Yeah, well,
should have been.
And he should have been. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
It's funny. I love how we could have this fight every year. It's fun.
I'm done with you. I'm sick of you. Go watch baseball in a minor league stadium all weekend, Jones. Luke will be here next week. Mandatories are 2 weeks from now. We'll be on that as well. I've done some great radio this week. I was up at Greenmount Station in Hampstead giving away the Back to the Future scratch also in the Maryland Lottery. I will be doing the same thing at Fadley's. We have 16 Maryland Crab Cake tours this summer. We're going everywhere. We're going to be at Readers in Reisterstown. We're going to be at the Y in Randallstown. We're going to be in Eldersburg at 1623 Brewing. We're all over the place. Big news, big stuff, big weekend. My God, summer is here. Go enjoy it. We're WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking. OTAs in Baltimore Positive.